he stood his grounds this way, just thinking about it. Pharaoh. One thing, he didn't know God. He didn't know Israel's God. So he had no experience with him. And something you don't know, you don't really have a regard or a respect, because you don't realize, this is Joe Blow. Well, I don't know Joe Blow. Somebody that know, oh, that's Joe Blow. You better watch out. Oh, so if I know him, you know his power, you know his might. Pharaoh didn't know God, so who is this God? I never heard of him. It's not one of ours, is it? So because they had many. So he wasn't acquainted with the true and the living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they worshiped many gods, and he hadn't seen any great power. He didn't pay much attention to Moses' message, because it didn't faze him really at this point. So God was working out some mighty miracles just to let this guy see that I am the true and living God, and you better be worried, all right? So that he asked that question, so who is he? I don't know him. I don't obey man nor God. I know all the gods there are. Where is this one coming from? Who is he? What has he done to impress me? So a lot of things could have been going on in his mind. And they said, the God of the Hebrews has met with us. Let us go, we pray, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto the Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence and with the sword. Now, sacrifice. We need to go sacrifice. Why was that important? And sacrifice unto our God.
It was needful for their religious rituals.
That's what we do. We needed a sacrifice. We needed a sacrificial lamb, and there were those that weren't found worthy. They look where? Heaven and earth, there were nobody found worthy. Our whole belief, our whole biblical experience is based on the fact that we believe that there was a pure sacrifice, that blood was shed, that somebody paid our dues and cleared it up once and for all. We didn't have to do bullocks and all that stuff every Sunday. So to us, that was the basis of the religion. Let us go sacrifice to our God. And they didn't have that belief. Who last week was saying you're a bloody mess? Zipporah. So she wasn't into all the understanding of God, and that the blood was required, because without the blood there is no remission, there's no redemption, there's no restoration. So blood was necessary, and he said, let us go. But they didn't understand that. They didn't have any respect for that. They weren't familiar with that. That's not what they did. So they weren't too gung-ho about letting them go, were they? And the king of Egypt said unto them, why do you, Moses and Aaron, let the people from their work get you unto your burden? So he's feeling that, what's going on? Go where? Do what? What is that for? Like people today don't realize why we come to church. On Wednesday nights, you going to church. Sunday morning, you getting up and going to church. For what? They don't understand it all. But, so here the case, he said, why are you doing this? They need to be working. You all need to be going about your business and stop meddling in with my slaves. And Pharaoh said, behold, the people of the land now are many, and you make them rest from their burden. Now, I'll let y'all go off 3 days' journey. No work is getting done. The things I need to get done are not getting done, and he didn't see the need for that. It just didn't register with him. Do you recognize, name any, all of the plagues? Okay, rattle off.
Let's see. Flies, gnats, frogs, locusts.
Let's put
It's
them
not the
down.
right order.
Okay.
Flies, gnats, frogs, locusts.
I'm gonna put them on the board.
Okay.
Okay. So what did you say?
Flies,
Flies,
gnats,
flies, gnats. They don't call them gnats. Flies and gnats would be under the same thing.
frogs,
Frogs,
locusts,
locusts,
blood, darkness,
you know where number 10 is, don't you?
death,
Mm-hmm. Can you think of any more?
all the livestock,
Okay. So we have blood, frogs, flies, murrain affected the livestock, locusts, darkness, death, boils. What's 7? Yeah. Okay, so we only have one more. We have a name. What would that be?
What do we start with?
L. The dust turned into this
Life,
life.
yeah.
So we see the order, and these are all the things that came upon them, and each time, what turned the blood?
Water,
The Nile, the frogs, and the lice, and the flies, and the myrtle, murrain, the boils upon man, the locusts, the hail, the darkness, and the death. So all of these are the things that came upon the people. Was it everywhere?
yes.
Okay, even in Goshen?
No, everywhere in Egypt.
Everywhere in Egypt. This is what was there. And it just, and as we go, these are just a recap of everything, but this is going to cover about up to 10 or 11 chapters here, but that's what we're going to be talking about for the next 10 or 12 chapters. All right, so 4 and 5, and Pharaoh said, behold, the people are many, so they have multiplied, the Israelites have, and I want to keep them busy because now they're slaves, and you don't want a slave or a servant sitting around acting like he's a guest. We want to keep them busy. We had some people in the house supposed to have been working, and they sitting down want to eat and talk. You know, there's sweeping, there's dusting, there's cleaning. You know, this is a job for you. You know, you didn't come here to socialize with me. And Pharaoh commanded the same day the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, so Pharaoh is talking to his people, and they had some that they had put, some of the Israelites were like managers over their own people. And he said, you shall no more give the people straw to make brick as heretofore. Let them go gather straw for themselves. Wow. So I got everything to work with. I got when you're cooking, you got the baking powder, you got the eggs, you got the milk, you got the sugar. How do you feel when something is missing and you got to stop and go to the store?
I'm not doing it.
Not doing it. It's taking up more time. Now, could you cook that in the same time you would have cooked it if everything had been on the shelf? As going to the store, you can't. So he said, take away the straw. And the straw mixed with the clay and made the brick stronger. But he's saying, you shall have no more straw to make the brick. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. And oftentimes, when we're doing God's will, what is the devil doing? What is his mindset?
Sabotage.
Sabotage. He don't like it. He don't like it when you're pleasing God. He don't like it when you're obeying the commands of God. And sometimes when we're going through and to the will of God, seem like things get easier, seem like things get harder and worse, and like the people standing up for what they believe, getting thousands of dollars fine, you know. So we have to, are we going to stand for God, or are we going to give in to pressure? Because the enemy makes things harder when you want to please God, but you have to really be rooted and grounded in God and say, for him I live and for him I die. That sounds noble, doesn't it? But when the rubber meets the road, as they say, it's not always an easy task, especially if you haven't locked in to Jesus. All right. So 8, and the tale, or the number of the bricks which they did make heretofore, you shall lay upon them. You shall not diminish aught thereof, for they be idle. Therefore they cry, saying, let us go and sacrifice to our God. Okay, you got all this group of people. We're going to stop supplying the straw. But what's the stipulation here?
Same number of bricks.
Same number of bricks. I got to go to the store to get the butter. Forgot the butter.
And still due by 7.
It's still due by 7. So the clock is going, and they telling me I got to have this done, the same number. And because we want to go sacrifice to our God, and Pharaoh took that as you being lazy, you're idle, you must don't have enough to do. We tell our children that sometimes. They keep on getting in stuff. You must not have enough to do. Go in there and mop that floor. Go in there and wash those dishes. Because you have idle time here. So that was his thing there. He said, no more bricks, but keep up the number. So we got to seek God and move on by faith when those things happen, and not let it deter us, because the enemy, he does his job well. He does his job well. It said, let their more work be laid upon the men, that they may labor therein, and let them not regard vain words. So what vain words was he referencing here? Go and sacrifice to our God. He considered that vain. It meant nothing to him. I'm going to church. I go to Sunday school. I go to Bible study. Now, if you're not into that, that means nothing to you. You know, you say, let's go party. Okay, what time? Where are you going? But the different responses we get from people for different suggestions let you know where their heart is. And what's that scripture? Where your heart is,
Where your treasure is.
where your treasure is, that's where your heart is also. So we can see the response of people. They can go spend a day on things that are outside of church, but in church they're looking at a watch, they're looking at a clock. What time do we get out? How long is the service? It's funny. It was a poem we had, Funny, Isn't It? How you could spend money without thought, but to give $10 in church, that's a lot of money. It's funny, isn't it? How you can spend all day at the racetrack, but you don't want to spend an hour with God. It was a whole list of funny, isn't it, how people think and how things are. So, but God is the true and living God, and he is our source of victory. The enemy don't ever want you to focus on your source of victory, and we know that's God. So he just wants to get you off focus, that's all. He don't care anything else but just get you off focus. Don't be looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith. Have doubt there. That's all right. A little doubt won't hurt. He just dilutes and wants to downplay the mighty power of God. He never wants us to get a hold that God is almighty, he's all-powerful, and he can do anything but fail. If we get a hold of that, the enemy's in trouble. So he said it was vain words. That don't mean anything to me. You want to stop working to go somewhere and sacrifice? So that didn't mean anything to him. So he said that there more work be laid upon them. Just give them more work. That'll keep them busy. That'll keep their mouth shut. And the taskmaster of the people went out, and their officers, and they spoke to the people, saying, thus said Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. So that was the answer. Pharaoh said it, this is what you have to do. Man said it, this is what we have to do. It's the law. This is what we have to do. What do we as saints of God say to that?
We don't serve the law, we're under Christ.
We are under Christ, and we have to, it's better to obey God rather than man. And then to say that, you really have to trust God to bring you out, because harder work, greater tasks will come.
Amen.
You have to, when you say that, you really have to be determined that you're not going to bow, you're not going to go back. You say, we won't bow, and if he don't, we know he can. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And God will bring you out, but that testing period, and it takes you up to the very height of testing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Takes you all the way there, because God want to see. It took Abraham, what was Abraham's height of testing?
He had his hand raised.
Had his hand raised with the knife. That was his height of testing. And the Lord said, I know that you love me. Abraham, what? Stay thy hand. But he went to the heights of that. And we're going to be tested. The enemy is out there, and so much is going on that God is not pleased with. And God is going to test and see who's on the Lord's side. We sing the song, I'm on the Lord's side. What? Makes me mighty glad. Okay, are you really? Okay, a test is coming. You better hold on to that. All right, so...
and your confession draws the adversary.
Exactly. They want to go do what? Mm-hmm. They don't have enough to do. Give them more work. Take away some of their support system. I want the same amount. So he goes back and tells them, Pharaoh said, you can't go and you're going to not get any more straw. Go ye, get your straw where you can find it, yet not all of your work shall be diminished. It says it again. None of your work is going to be diminished. You still have to do the same amount of work, but you got to go out there in the highways and the byways and find your own straw and keep up the same production, right? 12. So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble instead of straw. So they had to go put some work in and still stay strong and still trust in God. When the printer don't work, when, you can't find your bag, you got to be determined. You can't stop. You got to keep going. And these things come, and whose side are you leaning on?
Right.
Who are you trusting in? Do you really mean it, or you only mean it when the sun's shining? Pastor tell us when everything's good, we happy, loving God. Everything's good, but do you still love the Lord? You still got a smile on your face when nothing seems to be going right today. And that's what you have to do. And I practice that. How are you doing? Fantastic. You're always fantastic. Well, in Jesus, I am always fantastic. Situations aren't always favorable, but should I be influenced by situations, or should I be influenced by God? I always should be by God and what he's saying about the situation. So they had to go look for supplies on their own. And the taskmaster hastened them, saying, fulfill your work, your daily task, as when you have straw. They keep on saying that. They done said that about 3 or 4 times. I want the same number of bricks. I want the same number of bricks. I'm taking stuff away, but I want the same number of bricks. What is that saying to you? Seems like he's mimicking you. Seems like the enemy is picking at you. See there, I told you. You said you love the Lord. Seems like that happens sometimes, that he's mimicking you and he's trying to make you take down. Same number of bricks, same number of bricks. But that's when, and we say it repeatedly, we say it redundantly, we say it in repetition, that we trust God and we won't let down. And the taskmaster told them, keep up the work, do what you were doing before. And the officers of the children of Israel, which Pharaoh taskmasters had set over them, were beaten. So Pharaoh had managers, and then they had set people the Israelite over the Israelites. You know, they give us these jobs, make you manager, make you supervisor. Are you really in charge? You're not really in charge because they're watching you. You got to always do what you know to do is right. You know, I was a manager of an area, but I knew I was being watched every day. I knew they had the last word. I knew they made the major decisions, but, you know, if you can't find anything wrong with what I do, you really can't knock me upside the head. I used to tell my kids, if the dish is not in the sink, I won't have to tell you to wash them. You know, so don't put yourself in a position where you backed up in the corner and somebody have a right to say what they say. Like the devil goes where every day?
To and fro.
To and fro, and who is he talking to? Who is he telling on us? He's telling God about us. He's the accuser of the brethren. So my thing is, don't get mad with him. Just don't give him any material to go tell God. You know, have a clean report. He won't have anything to go tell if you don't do it. So that's what we want to do. We want to keep our slate clean and please God, and the enemy won't have a lot to go tell. But the Israelites that were the supervisors, they were beaten, saying, make them folks do right. Make them get all the bricks they supposed to. The devil will try to use us to influence somebody else. And the only thing would be in our mouth. Who said it, Paul? All I know is Jesus Christ and him crucified. That's all I want to preach. That's all I want to talk about, Jesus. Because people will say things and do things as leading statements. You ever experienced that? Somebody give you a leading statement and all of a sudden they're quiet. What's their point? What's their objective here?
To get you talking.
To get you talking. You know, say, oh, I heard so-and-so wasn't there. I guess they doing all right. And then they waiting for you to kick in to give the information, you know. And it's just amazing when you identify that for what it is. It puts a smile on your face, and you just kind of wait and see what they were going to say. Because they were waiting for you to give the whole story now. And we don't want that, okay? So they were beaten and demanded, wherefore have you not fulfilled your task in making bricks both yesterday and today? So they thought a beating would help them do the job. I'll beat you. Why haven't you done it? Why haven't you made your workers do that? So 15, then the officers of the children of Israel came and cried to Pharaoh, saying, why do you deal with us like this? So they are appealing to who? Pharaoh. Who do we appeal to when things don't go right? God. Do we go right to God? Always we go right to God. When things don't go right with me, I'm going right to God, or do I get on the phone and tell somebody? Do I find out, some little more information and we share it? And when you can get somebody to agree with you on your side that you're doing the right thing, you think that's the solution. So do we always go to God first?
No.
No, we don't. No, but that's where we should go. They went to Pharaoh. Instead of them crying out to God, they went to Pharaoh. Pharaoh, why are you doing this to us? Because situations in my life, things go wrong, and I'm so tempted to call my daughter or call my son, call somebody. And then, I'm quickened by the Spirit, and so I'm telling God. I'm telling God, because that's where they would have to go in the first place, to God. So I go tell God, and God works it out. Then I can smile and keep going. So when they come back and say, Mama, how's it going? I can keep smiling and say, fantastic. Because God has worked something else out for me, haven't He? So they went to God. They went to Pharaoh instead of going to God. So that's 15. They came and cried to Pharaoh, saying, why are you doing this to me? Do we ever ask the devil why he's doing something to us? Or do we just make a question, why is this happening? Not necessarily, we don't think we're talking to the devil. Why is this happening to me? Do we ever say that?
Yes.
Why is this happening to me? What should be our response?
How can I glorify God through this?
How can I glorify God? This must be a test. I want to pass this one, Lord. Give me strength, Lord. Give me direction. Because I'll tell him in a minute, I don't know what to do. I really don't. I don't know what to do. You know, our mind, what's that song they used to sing? My mind is gone. It should be gone because we should have the mind of Christ.
Amen.
So you go and tell God about it. You know, the Egyptians were wrong for what they did, but is the devil ever fair?
Oh, no.
He's not fair anyway. So is this anything new? What happens if you let an elephant loose in a china shop?
You don't sit still.
Nothing's going to get broke? Things going to get broke because that's what happens when you let an elephant loose in a china shop. Something's going to get broke. So the devil is just follows to his true nature and do what he does. So we don't go to the source of the enemy and ask them, plead with them. You know, you don't go to them. Linda, don't do this to me no more. Paula, don't do this to me anymore. Just go with a prayer in your mouth and stand and don't look down because you didn't drop anything. What else? Don't scratch your head because your head not itching. Talk loud. Look right at them. You know, people get uncomfortable if you raise the tone of your voice and look right at them and be serious. They don't know how to take that. They don't know how to take that. We worked with a young lady named Chrissy once, and one of the black girls were there and got loud and did typically what we do. And she said, just go ahead and beat me up. That's all you all know how to do is fight. Go ahead and beat me up, you know. But we want to keep a tone, talk what's right, and let Jesus do the talking for us. I even asked the Lord, I said, give me what to say. Because, you know, my mind is not clear here, and the enemy always on there saying, say that. Why don't you say that? It's the truth. You can say that, but I'll be saying, Lord, give me what to say. Give me what to say. And that's what we should do all the time, right?
Amen.
All right, 17. So they were beaten, and the devil is never fair, but the fault is in your own people, he was saying, 17. But he said, you are idle, therefore you say, let us go and do sacrifice to the Lord. This is Pharaoh talking again. You don't have enough work because you want to go do some frivolous thing. Because people that don't believe in God, people that don't have the honor and the reverence and the respect for God, don't see the urgency. They don't see the urgency of us coming to church. We heard the lawnmowers going today. Well, we in the house trying to get ready for church, you know, because, you know, you do what's important to you, you know. So if it's not important to you, you have a tendency to, no big deal. Go to church today. Maybe I'll go, what's the next holiday that people come to church? Have they all passed? Mother's Day? Maybe Christmas, you know. They may come Christmas before they get ready for the party, you know, but people are not interested in come, let us go into the house of the Lord, because that's not where their heart is, you know. But we come and we reverence and we know that's where we're going exactly. All right. Any questions or input as we go? I'm talking, but if you have questions or input, feel free to step right up and step right in. So he said, you are idle, you are idle. He said that twice. So it's in his mind that it's important to him. And you want to go somewhere and pray and sacrifice. Go therefore now and work, for there shall no star be given you, yet shall ye deliver the tale of the number of bricks. So nothing is going to be limited, but if we make the plan, and most time we make the plan, and then what we do, we go and ask God to bless it. Who made the plan? We made the plan, and then we ask God. We didn't even register God. God, I don't know what to do. God, help me with this. God, I'm depending on you. We leave all of that out. We make the plan, and then we say, what? Oh, God, help me. it wasn't his plan. So we need to back off, let God make the plan, listen to what he has to say, and then follow through, then go, because we have sought him and he have responded to us. Lord, help me. I don't have a plan. Where do I go from here? Do I go right? Do I go left? And you be still and be quiet. God will give you a great idea. He will give you a great